Did you get any help with writing your book, and what was the writing process like for you?
I did get a lot of help. One of my good friends read through the very first draft of it, and he gave me a lot of good criticism. I'm always open to criticism. People might think it hurts my feelings, but I always see it as a chance to grow, to get better, and to get a fresh set of eyes. Because my writing process is basically I sit down and just let whatever come out. If I worry too much about, oh wait, this doesn't sound right here, this sound right there, then I don't get anywhere. I just write, and then I go back, and then I can edit, and I like reading things aloud so that they sound natural, more natural, as opposed to kind of stilted and old-timey literary. Um, Especially the dialogue. I like to make the dialogue sound like things that people would actually say in real life. And then I had my really good editor, Ginger Wade. She really helped me a lot by going through and just helping me make things clearer. Because I tend to like writing poetically, lots of images, lots of metaphors, but sometimes they can be a little obscure and they can be a little just go over people's heads, even my own head sometimes. And I don't realize it until someone points it out and said, hey, this is kind of, what is this supposed to mean? And it just helps me clarify to get my message across. And then again, the writing process it's never just one draft. It's always just going back, going back. The unique thing about this book was that I wrote it as part of that National Novel Writing Month Challenge, which is that you're supposed to write a novel within a month. You write every day. And so I just kept writing every day, wrote a little bit and then wrote a little bit. And somehow it just all came together. And I had a functional story, but I had to go back to make sure the details were right, things connected, that there was continuity. Because sometimes it's like, okay, this character is supposed to be in this location, but apparently they're across the state in the next chapter. But how did that happen? I don't really do outlines. I don't really do that. I do outlines after the fact to keep myself organized. If I focus too much on outlines, I don't get any work done.
Yeah, and we have so many different listeners and viewers, even on YouTube, where they're wanting to write books and they're interested and they're having a hard time figuring out, how do I actually get this done? Where do I begin? What's involved? What's the process? All of those things. And that's why your response is so helpful because it kind of helps to make things clearer in their minds and put things in perspective for them so they can know it's okay for me to get help with writing. I'm going to need some help with writing. So often people feel as though they have to do this on their own and they don't
Mhm.
realize that they can actually get the help that is actually going to benefit them to get help as they are going through writing
And,
their
and they have
book.
to be open to, like I said, criticism. I like to call it more critique so it doesn't sound so negative. Um, I like the feedback. I like to ask my friends, hey, would you read this? And just tell me whatever you think. Be brutal, because otherwise I won't improve. I want right now, as you write, the audience is yourself, the author. But when you actually give it to an actual audience, then you can see how they respond, and you're like, wait, no, I actually wanted them to see this in this character, or I wanted them to interpret this metaphor this way. And as much as you intend, the person reading it may have a different reference point or may not understand certain words. One thing I like to do is I tend to stay away from $10 words, and because as much as it can be encouraged. I've seen it encouraged in writing advice. Use your vocabulary. The thing is if you can't explain something using common words, then you're not going to get your point across. I don't want my readers to have to go, oh wait, I have to look this up. I have to right click and then look in the dictionary, what this word means, you know, I'll have like a complicated word. I say, okay, this like for example, the word conflagration. All it means is an uncontrollable fire. So I take that word, and instead of saying that, I'll expand on that and say, okay, there was an uncontrollable fire. What does that look like? What does that smell like? What does that feel like? What would a character feel like? So I can expand on that and make a whole kind of scene out of it instead of just using one big word that people may not understand and just gloss over and just keep reading. And then in the end, if you keep having all those $10 words, people may get bored of your story and just say, okay, I'll go move on to something else.
Yeah, I'm sure the readers appreciate that as well, that you take that into consideration to make sure that it's going to be an enjoyable experience for them as they are reading through your book, The Peppermint Dog. And I find that you did a great job with that in your book. Um, I also wanted to ask you a couple more questions here before we wrap up on today. Now, I'm sure that you've had some time to think about how you were going to publish your book before you actually published it. You probably thought about it some more even after publishing your book. But just, I would love to know if you could maybe share with us what made you decide to have your book published by EPW, a professional book publishing company, as opposed to trying to handle it yourself?
Well, one big reason was that this was my first book. I had no idea what I was doing. Um, but I found that going with y'all guided me through the process, step by step. You were there, from editing to formatting to the cover art to promotion. It just felt more, I want to say more like family helping out, as opposed to kind of like a faceless corporation, so it felt more intimate, more like it's like you actually you cared about my book. It wasn't just, oh, let's get this and we'll make money off of it. No, it was like you cared about the story, you cared about the author, me, you cared about my desire to get my story out there.
Right. Absolutely. And I appreciate you saying that. We certainly do care. And I'm so glad that you were able to publish your book. Super proud of you, proud of the success you've been having. And I know it's going to continue to grow from here.